The hamlet of Kyebe in Kyotera district is bereft of hope as locals have been pushed to the margins. A land battered by dissolution and ruin. In 2016, an earthquake struck the area as the ground beneath crumbled, leaving a trail of death and destruction. At least 4 people died from the earthquake, whose epicenter was located 20 kilometers from the northern Tanzania town of Unsunga. The earthquake took everything, leaving their property trapped in the rubble. Over 200 homes collapsed, schools were ravaged, as well as hospitals and roads. A total of 3,186 houses, including school structures, also developed cracks after the earthquake. The disaster forced more than 4,000 people in the villages of Kifamba, Kanabulemu, Kibanda, Kyebe, Minziro, Kasensero and Gwanda to abandon their homes and seek shelter under trees and banana plantations. In 1979, Tanzanian army forces alongside Ugandan fighters pounded the area with artillery as they ousted Idi Amin. In the early 1980s, Rakai recorded the first cases of HIV/AIDS in Uganda, with the highest prevalence rate in the country and one of the highest in the world in the 1990s. The disease left homes broken and hundreds of orphans in the care of their grandparents and those without relatives trapped in a life of squalor.
Naddala twalina bannaffe abali Tanzania gye baasuubulanga nga balowooza nti abo babba abakerebwe. Kati abantu mu mbeera eyo omuntu afudde ng'ate ono omwami yeddiza omukyala w'ono balowooza oli yafa ddogo ono amweddiza. Kati ne tusanga ng'amaka gaweddemu abantu abakulu ne musigalamu abaana nga be bakulira amaka.
In 1994, the spectre of sorrow returned to haunt the area. Bodies of Rwanda genocide victims floating on the pale blue waters of Lake Victoria were pushed by the currents of the Akagera River to Kasensero landing site. Today, a memorial site bears the last vestiges of the genocide. It's 4 years since the earthquake struck here, but the faces of the locals depict impenetrable misery. A month later, the president visited the areas affected by the earthquake in Rakai and Kyotera districts and promised the locals to help rebuild their lives. Government promised to provide each family affected by the earthquake with 30 iron sheets, bricks, cement and iron bars. Through the office of the Prime Minister, government dispatched 10,000 kilograms of maize flour, 5,000 kilograms of beans, 1,000 tarpaulins and 200 blankets to the affected sub-counties, but some residents rejected the relief, saying they were in dire need of building materials, not food.
Nga ffe tetwalina kizibu kya mmere kuba tuli balimi tulima emmere yaffe. Ekizibu kye twalina bwe buyumba bwaffe buddizibwewo oba batukwatizeko tuzeewo ennyumba zaffe.
Tubaleetedde ebyokulya n'obakwatirako mu mangu mu kifo ky'okukkiriza ate ne munnyonnyola ebizibu byammwe ne tubitwala. Bagambye nti nedda mugende muve wano. Kubanga ffe wano twakubiddwa ekyeya naye ate abeebuduuda ensozi zibakubira ddala. Abo nabo beetaaga obuyambi. Kati gavumenti bwekuleetera obuyambi n'obugaba ebutwala ebuduuda.
This man says there was only one primary school in the sub-county whose structures collapsed and government has not come to the plight of the locals. Pupils study under tree shades and women often give birth by the roadside. At this school, staff teachers' quarters were destroyed as well.
And the teachers migrated from here to other places. So we have a few teachers because their quarters were destroyed.
Other teachers risk can't teach in classrooms with cracked walls.
This has affected the performance of the school by school dropouts. Because the earthquake having disrupted the houses, some people were left homeless and had to migrate to other areas. Some had beliefs that it was only this place which was affected. Some had the beliefs that it were only their homes that were affected. In that way, so many of them migrated from one place to another.
Ekitundu kino nga bw'okiraba temuli ssomero lya secondary nalimu. Okuva wano okutuuka awali essomero lya secondary kikwetagisa kutambula kilometers 30 n'okusoba. Teri mwana wa muntu asobola kuva wano kugenda eri amala asome akomewo okuleka ng'olina omuzadde ssente zisobola okusasulira omwana mu kisu.
At Minziro, the cracked wall of the ill-equipped health center too offers no comfort to patients.
Okusiringa eno kati buli agenda olumu okuzaaliramu atyamu, abasinga basiiba mu miti olw'okubeera okiraba kyagala kukka bwe kiti kigwe wansi. Ekyokubiri naawe toyinza kubeera nga ne bw'oba ng'ogenda kusindikira ne wabeeramu ekibuyaga ekolekitiko owulya weekanga nga n'egundi waggulu evaayo, siringi waggulu etandika okutonnya kati tosobola kuteekamu bebi naawe.
Some of our staff quarters down at maternity were affected so much, and we had to shift our midwives to allocate them somewhere, and some of other infrastructures like toilets were also affected.
Waliro nga bwe mukalaba konna kali bwe katyo, temuli butanda, akalwalira katuzimbirwa World Division emyaka nga 20 emabega. Obutanda bwakutuka, abakazi bazalira ku buseminti nabwo bwawo omoggoka.
The moment you do not respond to disaster effectively and efficiently, you're definitely going to affect a stream of other rights.
Places of worship as well as roads were also affected. One has to take a border ride for about 20 kilometers from the Kyebe sub-county through a dirt slippery road across Marimagambo forest in order to access Minziro village. The area has no piped water and electricity. The only borehole is located 2 kilometers from the village. The Kakuto MP, Christopher Kalemba, says it's a travesty that the president gave funds to communities in Tanzania that were affected by the earthquake.
Minziro, when you reach Minziro, you say nobody can enter. So they operate outside. When you come to Kakuto, the theater is no longer operation. When you go to the main wards, you see what you see there, you cannot breathe. And I think we have a challenge as leaders, because all the time the meetings we conduct, it is the first question, requirement, that you have not fought for us, you have not requested for these things, because they hear things being given to other people. Though there are incidents which have happened after our incident, but the concern is they would have at least managed, because the president pledged iron sheets, iron bars and the cement to each affected family. But up to now, nothing has gone on ground. We don't know, because even the committees say maybe the leaders received these things and they were not delivered, which is not true.
In August 2017, Tanzania's president, during a visit to Mutukula border post, heaped glowing praise on President Museveni for helping earthquake victims in his country. Many families, especially those ravaged by poverty and HIV/AIDS, live in makeshift structures. Robin Asentongo, the Kyotera woman MP, says what was delivered as aid made a mockery of the earthquake victim.
Because there is a budget that we give to that office for such calamities, we give them money. That is a violation, because it's taxpayers' money. And the money is there and is being used for other things. People are supposed to benefit from their sweat. They give taxes. So this is an abuse of their right. More so by pledging to them and you don't fulfill. More so by supporting the neighbors in Tanzania.
I have presented it over 5 times in the floor of Parliament, in the matter of national importance, on the question time Parliament. Now I wrote also a oral question for an oral answer, but up to now, it is 8 months. They have not said about it.
At one of the health centers, a ceiling caved in.
And I saw the ceiling falling in the maternity ward, and there was not even light, but the ceiling was falling down.
The coordinator of public interest lawyers, Athan Sereko, says the state as the duty bearer must not discriminate against its people.
That the first responsibility the state has to is to its citizens. The state is duty bearer number 1 when it comes to response in terms of disaster. So whenever we have the state, or government for that matter, respond to disasters in other countries before we address disasters in our own homes, I think it speaks of hypocrisy and lack of priorities.
President, you know, earthquake also hit our counterpart, the neighbors, Tanzania. Our president and the government gave $200,000 to them to support the victims. And those victims, their side, they have put up their houses, reconstructed their houses, and the road was done, and the community, they are happy. But on our side now, we don't have any answer.
The president going to Tanzania with the money to rescue those people. And what we had next, that he was coming to Uganda as well to help us in that problem, which never happened. It became a presidential pledge.
This also raises a number of human rights issues, which include the right to housing, the right to education, the right to health, and equality in access to national resources in case of disaster.
This, I would say, violates our laws, violates the Constitution. If you go to our national objectives and directive principles under 23, the state is mandated to come up with an effective machinery. Now, when we talk of effective machinery, we are talking of disaster management, first of all preparedness, and then management plus response that can reach everybody equitably. We may not talk about equal response, but at least equitable response to all.
With no hope in sight and government tracking its responsibilities, some locals have approached authorities in Tanzania seeking citizenship. Emmanuel Mutaizibwa, NTV.